Time to do the pledge and a moment of silence, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, and everybody is here. Bob, Doug, and Lou. Next item will be public comments. Mr. Herring, you don't have something? That's very unusual. Anybody else? Well, takes care of public comments. Sorry, John, won't be anything for the news today. How about administrative business?
I don't have any administrative business at this time, but we do have a need for an executive session at the end of the meeting.
Okay. David, do you have anything?
Just my thanks.
Very good. Well, that takes care of administrative business. How about the consent agenda? Mr. Smith, Mr. Holland?
Spending lots of money.
A lot of money. Easy come, easy go.
Just,
Is that how you say it?
Well, yeah, you got to be in business to know what.
just had a couple questions on, before you question the bills.
Yes, sir.
And I apologize for not getting with Mark before this, but inmate labor final bill, we pay that by the month when we used inmate labor, or did we just pay it by, I thought we paid it by the year.
No, we did, they invoiced this on a
Okay.
basis for that.
Okay.
So you skipped from A, B, and went right to C.
Well, I wanted to beat you to the bills.
Okay. How
But
about?
like I said, I usually ask Mark about that before.
Okay, very good. How
I'm
about?
sorry I didn't do that this time.
We'll hit the approval of the minutes. Anybody got any questions on that?
No, sir.
I'm going to go back to the denial or the turning back the case for the counter, the gentleman who was going in business. Could planning and zoning have canceled that before we got here, or is that would have?
At the time, we did make a recommendation to either approve the case, the commission
Right.
could approve the case, or send it back to the planning commission
Right.
for further review. Yeah,
But-
that was presented at the time.
You could not have said, well, there's more information, let's don't put it to the commissioners, and it won't have to go back and wait 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or what?
We did recommend that. I mean, that was part of the recommendation.
It was in the briefing report.
I think what Commissioner Klemp is asking is, could you have just remanded it back to the Planning and Zoning Commission
Without,
before bringing it to the board?
no, sir, the commission has to remand it back to the planning commission.
Have you ever been in business?
Yes.
You've been in business? How many employees you got today? It just, that has bothered me because it was something that just took now it's going to take a lot of time, and
That's how the state statute, they have a process that you have to go through, so it's.
okay. I don't know why more information came forward. It shouldn't have happened, okay? Created a problem, in my mind. Didn't create a problem to the other two, but in my mind, it created a problem.
Well, as long as the man's still able to operate his business.
Well, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it wasn't a cease and desist.
That's my
Yep.
point is, he's still able to operate
still-
his business.
right.
It's just gonna delay the
But
final
the
outcome.
neighborhood is still in growling, and it's not good for a neighborhood. Most people don't even know their neighbors anyway, so unless something like this comes up. The other thing was, what did we find out about, can the sheriff enforce county resolutions? You know, no trucks allowed.
Commissioners, the issue of the enforcement of the commercial vehicle control has come up in the past. I believe the sheriff at an earlier meeting, several perhaps years ago, stated that it was difficult for his deputies to discern whether a vehicle traveling on a county road that was signed for the prohibition of commercial vehicles was in fact on its way to a destination, in which case the prohibition would not apply.
I understand that.
So I believe that was one factor. I'm uncertain, and I did look at this. Violation of a county resolution is a misdemeanor, and misdemeanors can be enforced by law enforcement officers. So that's where we stand.
Well, on the first item you mentioned, you know, on 20th Street, trucks not allowed, and destination and all that, that's hogwash. It's good, but it's hogwash because all that officer has to do is say, let me see your papers. I want to see your destination. But, you know, if you're not really interested in preserving our roads, and
Commissioners, if you look, the roads that have been marked for control were the roads that were subject to being used, I'll use the word a cut through, County Road 33, other roads in between two major highways. As to the enforcement of that, again, violation of that resolution is a misdemeanor, and law enforcement can approve it or enforce it. I don't think it would be enforceable through the codes court.
so what's the misdemeanor penalty?
In theory, well, up to 30 days incarceration, a fine of not to exceed $500.
Well, that'd be a good one, wouldn't it? I think we ought to pursue, if we're going to go through all this that we're doing for roads, somehow it has to be appreciated, and it isn't appreciated. I just took a trip and took some family members. I did it twice, really. I went down McIntyre to 127th.
I believe that road's closed, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I did it.
Okay.
Nobody arrested me, and I felt, you know, I was upset. I'm not important enough to be arrested. That's the guy you want to arrest.
You would think it'd be.
So
good
then I went
balance.
down 127th Street.
Mhm.
Says the same thing on there. Well, it says through traffic. So I went down, I didn't, turned into a driveway and then backed out, so I wasn't through traffic, see? The way around in everything. But I think there's gonna be some 18-foot in there.
I bet there is.
Did you want to make a comment on that? Not
I
yet?
do not support 18 feet wide
There
roads.
we go. That's what I like to hear. They're doing a very good job. And then I came down Gilman. And the reason I bring that up, there was a lady, I won't mention her name, but she thanked me, and we had an awful lot of thank yous last week and appreciations. It got a little scary. In fact, lady appreciated supporting the 127th project, and that's nice that people do that. But it had been going on for some time with the other commissioner, and if you go by policy, you don't have that problem. Policy, and that's what's concerning me when a new commission comes in. They're going to say, well, I want to micromanage. That's how we got into our swamp, was micromanaging. And hopefully with our good county administrator, who's going to be very professional in council, and they're not going to allow micromanaging, because it shouldn't be allowed. Policy. You want to change, you want to do a road for somebody, let's see them get the policy changed. So, okay, other than that, that's all I had on that subject. Approval of the weekly. Anybody have anything there?
Well, not for next week, but for this week, I believe that LCDC meeting's at Lansing. The one coming up Thursday
One on Thursday.
for this week's agenda.
Yeah.
that we're on.
Yes, I think you're right.
It is at Lansing, I believe.
Yes, it is at Lansing.
Okay.
The new one, which on the 22nd, Livermore Lansing Chamber of Commerce meeting. Administrator, you going to that, or who's going to that?
I will be out of town on that date.
That is true. Does anybody want to go to that? If not,
I won't be able to. I'll make the LCDC meeting at Lansing.
did you want to go to that? If not, I'll go.
I think the chairman needs to go.
I thought you were going to say I'd love for you
Is
to go.
that a motion?
Well, I'd love for you to go, yes.
Okay, I'll put that over. I will attempt to go. I probably will go. Approval of the check register. And Mr. Smith has already given his. You got anything you want to say, Bob?
No, just that we've got more legal bills this,
Got more legal bills. God, days.
and that's climbing. I'm gonna hit my,
You going to give a report on that?
I won't give a report.
Okay,
It's not quite to $1 million, so
Yeah.
I'll wait till it gets to $1 million.
okay.
Then I'll give a report on it.
That's good. $26,000 on McIntyre project again. Some money being spent. One was a great curiosity. What is Buildex Inc. for let's call it $30,000? Anybody know?
Haydite rock for chip seal rock,
Very
the
interesting.
brown colored rock, the
Mhm.
good stuff.
The good stuff,
It is a good stuff. It's really good rock.
how come we have complaints on it then?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any complaints on it.
What is on 127th Street? It's brown in color.
Looks like
For
it's
the
got,
base rock?
looks like it's got dirt mixed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah,
But it looks good.
it'll set up.
You know what that is?
AB3 with 9% moisture in it.
Okay.
Put it down 140 pounds per cubic foot.
And you already questioned inmate laboring.
Right.
And remember the lady brought up recycling? How come we can't use state prisoners to do that?
To do recycling?
Oh, yeah.
To sort the recycling, you mean?
Yeah, set up a facility out there and they show up and they sit.
They've stopped the inmate labor program the state prison has. We were in discussion with them whether we were going to continue to use them or not, but they've stopped that labor program. So could the state do something like that? Sure, they could, but
Why don't we bring it up to our...
I'm sure they won't.
Yeah, why don't we bring it up to the representatives? Say, listen, why don't you get off? We feed the prisoners, don't we? Don't they play basketball? I think they took away the loose weights. You know, we're getting awful lenient. But we gave $51,000 to the Port Authority. This is just for people's reference, show where their money's going. May Legal Services, 14.5, that's 14,500. And somewhere at the end of this whole legal thing, we'll give a thank you to some people, we don't know who yet. When is the 45 days up for the judge?
Not next Monday, the following Monday.
The following Monday.
Yes. Isn't it the 25th? 2 weeks from yesterday.
It's very good, David. I like the way your mathematics comes out there. And so we'd add another 15 for his 60, because he said 45 to 60 days.
That's the 60, Commissioner.
Oh, that's the 60.
Yes,
When is so the 45 days is up?
I believe so.
Real effective judge. That's all I'll say on the judge at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I had one more on this. If you,
Oh, yes.
we have a bill for $1,157 for sizing a culvert for Happy Hollow Road. We have 3 engineers in Public Works. Why would we hire someone to size a culvert?
That's very good. I'm glad you questioned that. Yeah, I saw. But it was not at the level, but it's a good point. I see it at the city level.
Sized a culvert.
On Happy Hollow Road.
I know that's my road, but they didn't size it in front of my house because there's no culvert there. But
Right. I know which one they're talking about.
do you?
It'd be down there by the lake, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's a good question there, Administrator.
Commissioner Smith did bring that to my attention already, and I'll.
Very
follow
good.
up on it.
But you see it on the cities levels. We have to go out and, what do the engineers do? Estimates. There's going to be an estimate that this job's going to be $500,000, and it comes in at 501, 502, 510. Well, we were off on our estimate. Is that all they do for their money? I don't know. But that's a very good point, and I'm sure he'll have an answer for that. 195th Street Road, excuse me, not streets, roughly 27 million. This is for people who don't think that the county spends money on their roads. Carrot was 114, call it 115,000 for, that's what, workers' comp. 59,000 for fuel, call it 60,000.
Well, it's got to be more than that.
Well, that's all it said right here under that portion. That was on page 9. There was not another big figure. Annual software maintenance, 40,000. County Road 1 land use study, 5,300. We're still on that. Amazing. Blue Cross Blue Shield, $221,000. Yeah, it was less than $1 million for the week. It was let's call it $820,000 of taxpayer funds spent for very good projects, I guess. Hopefully. Check register. Will there be any OCBs? That's very good. I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Very good. Okay, we'll go on to event 1 of the formal board action on case number DEV 18-066, a temporary special use permit for fireworks stand at 13,944 Mitchell Court. Planning and Zoning Department recommends approval subject to conditions.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. This is case number DEV 18-066, a request for a temporary special use permit for a seasonal fireworks stand. The applicant is requesting a temporary special use permit for a seasonal fireworks stand. They will erect a 40 by 40 tent in the parking lot of 13944 Mitchell Court. Access to the fireworks stand will be from a driveway located on Mitchell. The applicant indicates parking will be available around the tent. The hours of operation would be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., beginning Wednesday, June 27th, and ending Thursday, July 5th, 2018. The applicant indicates a responsible party will remain on site 24 hours a day during the operation of the stand. This is an annual seasonal operation. The applicant has operated fireworks stands in the county for the last 11 years and has worked at this location since 2015 with no complaints. Staff recommends approval of DEV 18-066, temporary special use permit for a fireworks stand at 13944 Mitchell Court, subject to conditions. The applicant is present to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Now, if we would not accept this and we would pass this back for you to study because we thought there was some more information, how long would it take to get back here?
I'm sorry, I didn't.
If we reverted it back to you for some reason, which we won't, how long would it take you to get it back to us? Week, 2 weeks?
Well, if the board reverts it back to us, we can get it back to you next week, or
Okay.
But the planning commission, they may.
I'm
not
looking
only-
at 4th of July, Yeah.
That's what he's trying to
I
get.
think it's
Yeah.
collusion here.
Think of the collusion?
I think so too.
God, collusion. The world is falling apart with collusion
Yep.
and openness to the public. So we'll open this, it says right here, very good, I can read, open public hearing. Does anybody want to talk in favor of, and appreciate it if you don't, because we're going to approve it anyway, but if you want to. So is there anyone who wants to talk in favor? Anybody want to talk against it?
I just have one question, if I might, Chairman.
Yes, sir.
How many years has this been going on? How many years has the Millers ran these stands?
I think like 15 years.
Okay. So then they have to come back every year?
Yeah, the reason for that is we act as a coordinator, so
Right.
we let the emergency management
Right.
give the application to them for their review, all the fire districts. So it's just a coordination of everybody, just to make sure it's safe.
But last year we waived the fee because she has been doing this for so many years and coming back in.
Correct.
It's been in the same place, everything.
15
No
years.
problems.
They should qualify somewhere. Maybe it's at 20, maybe we can put it in at 20 years they qualify for something.
Well, I just think she spends more time up here than she does selling fireworks.
Well,
I
Maybe
think
we
that,
should-
I think if there was going to be anything, you'd have to amend your guidelines and allow it as a permit instead of a special use permit. You could allow a permit for it that it could be issued by staff that would still require an application fee, but it just
Right,
would require
right.
the planning and zoning and the board of county commissioners.
Yeah, the main reason for this is to let the fire districts and the emergency management know about this, so they can, go and inspect it.
So we could, if that would be the board's wishes, we could certainly bring back a proposed amendment to the guidelines so that in the future it just be a permit process, not a special use permit, which requires the open public hearing.
is that something we want staff to look into?
I think it would be a good idea.
I do too.
Well, it's really nice for the young lady. Maybe we should have just had her come and give a presentation rather than just me asking her not to.
Presentation.
Okay.
Because it's nice for her. We're not waiving the fee again, are we?
It's up to the commission.
Okay. I would like not to waive the fee. I'd like that to be a general thought for the whole industry, that fees are not waived. I'm trying to think when I had a fee waived for me. I think it was 1938. They waived the
I
fee.
kind of disagree with you just a little bit.
Oh,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit.
I would be in favor of waiving the fee for a nonprofit. But if you're making a profit off of this, then I'm not for waiving the fee.
Well, can I explain away your little bit?
Okay?
Make it a little bit
A
smaller?
little bit, get
Yeah.
smaller
There is no such thing
as nonprofit.
as nonprofit. Now, they may say they're nonprofit, but wages go up, different things are furnished, and so they don't have a profit because it's been eaten up by internal operation.
I see.
Yeah. Red Cross, you name them all. There is a profit. Yes, sir.
Okay, so for next year, is there a possibility that we change this and it's not called a temporary special use permit, it's just called a firework permit, and then you send in an application fee, Mr. McGaha notifies all the, does the inspections and all that for less money than what this fee is?
We'll bring back a proposed amendment that would allow for this just to be a permit versus a special use permit. So eliminate all the other process and just go through staff, similar to like a building permit.
And it would be a whole lot less staff, so it should be a whole lot less money, I think.
Well, in this case, because this is an individual who's been involved for years, but you might get a little fly by night, you know, I mean.
Well, but that's when the fire chief would go out and inspect, and Mr. McGaha would, and all that. I mean, I think everything, our checks and balances are in place.
Yeah. You know, I might want to start up and make a little money and run a bad operation, smoking in the facility and stuff like that. Okay, everybody got a consensus with them coming back?
Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion. Let's see, that's in your area. Would you like to?
We close the public hearing?
Yeah, I'm going to close it. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Okay. Are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready.
I'll make a motion that we approve case number DEV 18-066, temporary special use permit for a fireworks stand at 13944 Mitchell Court.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Next item will be a same hearing, case number DEV-18-67, and Planning and Zoning will give a dissertation, and then we'll go from there.
This is case number DEV 18067, a request for a temporary special use permit for a seasonal fireworks stand. Again, this is the same applicant with a request for a fireworks stand in an additional location. A 30 by 50 tent will be set up in the parking lot of Kelly Angel Excavating Company at 19230 McLeod Road. The hours of operation will be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., beginning Wednesday, June 27th, and ending Thursday, July 5th, 2018. The applicants have been approved to sell fireworks at this location for the last 11 years. The applicants will be staying on site 24 hours a day during the dates of operation. There are no record of issues concerning the operation of the fireworks stand. The site will be accessed from McLeod Road, which is Highway 16, and on-site parking is available. Staff recommends approval of DEV 18067 temporary special use permit for a fireworks stand at 19230 McLeod Road, subject to conditions.
Okay, and it says that this will be a open public hearing. Again, I'll open the meeting to a open hearing. Anybody got anything in favor of this? Seeing no one. Anybody got anything against it? Do we just want to have the young person come up and give a presentation, or are we willing to close the meeting?
Willing to close the meeting.
Close the meeting
We
then.
need to waste anybody's time.
So do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Bob?
Nope.
Pretty hard decision on this item, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I'll entertain a motion. It's in your district, so.
I'll make a motion that we approve case number DEV 18067, a temporary special use permit for a fireworks stand at 19230 McLeod Road.
Second.
Question. I have heard throughout my life that if there's an abstention, that becomes a no vote or a positive vote.
I didn't no vote whatsoever. If a positive, for example, if you were to abstain and Commissioners Holland and Smith split their vote, there'd be no action taken. In that case, the effect would have been a negative vote.
Okay.
Likewise, if it had gone the other way.
Very good. Thank you. How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Man. Okay. Presentations and discussion items. Thank you, Planning and Zoning.
I have a few.
Okay. Man stepping forward there with something there.
Yep. We got Baser Dairy Days this week on the 14th, 15th, and 16th. There's something in the evenings, and then on Saturday. Went to Tongi Days, big crowd. Pretty hot.
Yes.
pretty hot, but good deal. Also on, did you see where Governor Collier gave $20 million to the schools for suicide prevention? And we had that discussion earlier.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know how that's going to be divvied up, but
I was gonna say.
you know. And while I was at Tongi Days, of course, got a lot of questions about recycling. Just so that the public
You
did
told
use
them,
it. They did use it. Had some calls, but recycling is very missed.
You told them why.
Exactly.
You tell them to write their legislators and tell them you wanted the prisoners to get off their dead. You know what?
No, I did not.
You didn't do it. Okay.
No, I did not. But interesting article, Tonganoxie paper, 50 years ago. Says every Tonganoxie resident was given the opportunity for a free chest x-ray sponsored by the Tuberculosis and Health Association.
Okay.
But down a ways it says Leavenworth County installed 300 feet of dust control for every residence on a gravel road, free of charge, and 50 years ago.
Yeah, it's awful generous, wasn't it?
Well, it was before the county took over the township, so it would have just been the county routes.
Oh, now
But-
you're going to get into blaming me.
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
But I'm just saying maybe we should give the free chest x-rays now because of all the dust that we got because we don't do any dust control.
That's good.
So, but 50 years ago, there was dust, enough dust that the county paid for dust control in front of every residence on the county route.
But those two ladies in the south end of the county in Louis Clemp, they got to take to court because they got the township system taken over by the county.
Probably because they went and dust controlled every residence and got everybody to vote for it.
Okay, very good.
But
Do you have something else there?
yeah, like I said, I wish Miss Miller would not have left. She lives on 219.
Yes.
And I think when we approved the 219th road, and I asked about dust control, and they said, oh, no, we want the road rebuilt. I don't think they understood the dust control program.
I think you're right. Yep.
And I really think that would have been a road, like you said, you went 127th, and in the Gilman thing. I think this 219th would be a good road to do that on and save some money without rebuilding that whole thing.
Yeah.
It's got the width. I think we could grade it, get it, ditches cleaned out, and get a wide enough road they could just do the dust abatement on only chip seal instead of waiting 10 years to rebuild the road and do it.
There won't be any 18-foot.
No, it wouldn't be no 18-foot road.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No, I wouldn't be recommending that if it wasn't. And the same thing, like I said, you know, if you said you went out and drove, I don't know if you've driven 150th Street. 150th Street's a good wide road, but now we're going to rebuild it.
I think you're bringing forth some very good points.
I mean, I don't know why we want to spend all this money when we don't have to.
You know, Wyandotte County didn't. They just went in, chip and seal. They may have done a few that I don't.
So like I said, I think the people on, and I guess that's partly my fault, I didn't explain the program that night, but they were all adamant about getting the road rebuilt.
That was your fault. I got that
Yeah,
written down.
I'll own it. I'll own
Within
it.
minutes.
We should have had, you know, the dust control policy out there.
Yeah.
So
And well,
I might talk to some of the residents, and that's what I wish Miss Miller was still here. But
it's very hard to keep up with city rules, county rules, and know all the rules. And what
it is, and
Can't
I
blame
wasn't expecting that many people here.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm just saying, I didn't know what your thoughts were, but I think we can do these roads a lot cheaper.
Well, is that something that we need to be unified on to pass on to the administrator, and he meets with, and does that fall within policy?
Yeah, actually, we've had that conversation at a staff level of which of those projects could be done dust versus full rebuild. And that is something they're looking at based on traffic counts and any other extenuating circumstances, like if there be maybe some blind curves that need to be addressed or some inclines and stuff like that that are issues. But depending on that.
See, he just brought up something, blind curves. Maybe we put a speed bump there. And
Or
blind
a
curves,
sign that
sometimes
says
it
there's a
gets real
curve.
Well, blind curves gets critical because now you got, you know, you got to move the utility, you know, the waterworks, then we get into that.
That's what we're trying to avoid
Yeah,
here.
so. But it sounds like they're already looking into that, and that's
Okay.
good. That was a good point to bring forward. Okay?
Okay.
Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. I want to hear what he has to say.
No.
I think he was directed.
Glenberry District 1. I just, sitting here thinking about your recycle program, we kind of ended it down there in Tonga, and I've been thinking about this. I retired from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and I know that we got a whole bunch of campers out there that we abolish jobs up on post and at the institution, so they're not employed. Best thing in the world for inmates is to have employment. Keeps their money held in our big scheme of things. The county doesn't get state inmates anymore because the state kind of did away with that program. Somebody with the county, you guys go, does anybody go to the community relation board meeting they have once a month? With the prison, the mayor, and all these people get together, they have a little luncheon and discuss stuff like that. But I'm thinking somebody from the county ought to be talking to the federal and find out from the warden if we couldn't employ some of their campers that are unemployed, that don't have a job, that we can give them some gainful employment and benefit us. Really. I mean, you talk about taking 5 inmates and giving them premium pay. Premium pay can be about $175 a month. Well, if you did that with 5 guys, and these are 5 guys that you can have drive your trash truck down to Tonganoxie, pick up a dumpster, bring it back to the transfer station. So the only thing you got involved there is the truck and the fuel and a little bit of cost for that inmate to drive it. Because we got inmate drivers up there that drive our trash truck out to the transfer station. Because the good thing about federal inmates that are campers, you only got to have a supervisor's eye on them once every 2 hours. So he doesn't have to be under constant supervision. So if he drives down to Tonga and gets a dumpster and brings it back, when he brings it back, you've got eyes on him. He takes another trip down there, takes 20, 30 minutes, whatever. He's gone about an hour. So you don't have a problem there. But I'm thinking 5 guys multiplied at $175 a month is pretty cheap labor to keep a program like that going and make it successful for us. Because recycling in this country is getting ready to dump in our lap.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the administrator just wrote all that down, and I'm sure he's going to be looking into it. That's what I like.
And Mr. Berry, now you're saying like the county would have to provide the recycling roll-off box, but the federal government provides a truck to come pick it up?
The federal government wouldn't provide you with the truck. The county would have to provide their own truck.
Okay.
But your initial investment may seem like a lot of money, but over long term, I think you would gain so much from it, because inmates predominantly, if you take an inmate at our camp and you give him a vehicle and you tell him, hey, he gets to drive this every day, this is his thing, they take a little bit of pride in that, and they take ownership of it. And if it needs something done to it, they make sure the oil's getting changed, the tires get changed. You know what I'm saying? It's like you owning a car, but an inmate doesn't really own it, but he feels like he does because he's responsible for it. It's just something to think about. I've been thinking about that since we've been talking about it for months, that the recycling program was going to go away in Tongi, and I know I've talked to some of the people that live down there, and I'm not in their district or anything, but they're upset about it because they used it. Right. And they know that, you know, one bad apple makes a whole bushel go bad. But I think there's alternatives being, we just brought it up today about the state doing away with their inmate program. Well, the federal hasn't done away with it. We got federal inmates at the VA. We got them out at Fort Leavenworth. I mean, they're available. I don't know why it wouldn't be available to the county.
I wonder why people in jail wouldn't be available. Seems to be
It depends on if you want the people from your community that are in jail working out in the same community they're in jail from.
Oh yeah,
that's your problem, because I worked at the state system. You had that same problem. You had inmates from Leavenworth at KSP, and they had them working out here at Zephyr Heatron. And lo and behold, when we'd go out there to do security checks and count them every now and then just to check to see if their bosses were keeping track of them, by God, we couldn't find them for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the guy shows up. Well, he's been down at his girlfriend's in them apartments over there. Nobody ever said that, but you know that's what happens.
Yep.
So, just something to think about.
All right.
Very good.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I can remember back in '56, I think it was, one of the...
I can't remember back then.
Yeah, I know you can't. But, yeah. This, one of the prison administrators came by and said, have you seen Bob? He had his own truck. He was real proud of his truck. And I said, yeah. Isn't it funny how even I knew the prisoner? Said, yeah, Bob went across just a little while ago, and pretty soon they came back. Bob was driving his truck, and the administrator was driving his, and Bob was getting ready to be paroled. And he'd been in there so long, and he didn't want to be paroled, so he went over to Toonerville. Now, you remember Toonerville?
I've heard stories about it, but I don't remember it.
He went over to Toonerville, had a beer, and he didn't have to. He broke his trust, so he didn't have to get. Isn't that a shame? Been a good employee all that time. Bob, you got anything you want to say?
No.
You can talk about
plenty.
Okay.
Got him thinking about Toonerville now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
Toonerville.
thinking about Toonerville.
Yeah. Okay. 127th and Gilman I've talked about, and I also came in McIntyre the other direction from County Road 5, and you know, it blacktop, and I can't think. James went off on Jameson Street there, but it goes on down, and then it becomes gravel, and then it goes on down. It becomes dead end at what 159th, I think it is, or 100. See, where it would go possibly across someday.
Fairmount. Oh yeah, to come through over to 147 someday.
But yeah, that was an interesting tour. Concerned over the county commission. Oh, that I mentioned that. I have great concern. Future commission's going to get back into micromanaging. I'm going to give you a thought, and we'll see. Somewhere in the future, I'll bring it up. Lights at 20th and Eisenhower. I tell you, I'm talking to more people about roundabouts. And I think what this is, and I'm going to be honest, I'm never very seldom politically correct.
Nobody's ever accused you of that.
It's my idea in the city, for who knows what reasons. It'd be nice to hear what it all went about in closed sessions. But why not to have a roundabout? We got to have lights. Well, I know I can beat that light, and about that time somebody dies. But no, well, that's shame, and then we'll put a bicycle out there or something to show respect for the person that died at that intersection. But there is another utility, light. And that is a flashing red in all directions. I am so concerned with that road. And how does north and south and east get a priority? Because that's where the traffic comes from. It does not come from the west. But I want you to keep put in the backs of your mind, somewhere I'm probably going to say, why don't we just put a four-way flashing red light where everybody knows a flashing red, you got to stop and proceed with caution. I just think it's something that needs to be looked at. There would be no more extra land, nothing except a straight through. We still need to have the turn lanes. So I'm going to bring that up in the near future. Hopefully you've looked at it, because it's really bothering me. So the last thing I have is, what can we do about private entities? I had 3 different conversations over the weekend about problems with private, not entities, utilities. They're not only creating a problem with us, they're creating other problems. I think this needs to be somehow looked at. I mean, when you have total control of something and nobody can tell you what to do, that's bad. And how are we coming on our study that we were having? Leavenworth County Board of sent requests to the governing bodies of the city of Leavenworth, Lansing, Basehor, Tonganoxie, inquiring about each body having a joint meeting with the Board of County Commissioners. How are we coming on that?
None of them felt it would be productive to have a joint meeting. They all thought the individual meetings would be more beneficial.
Wouldn't be beneficial.
A joint meeting.
See, look at that. We're wanting to do something for the cities. Now they got their 5 million here and the 5 million there and the 6 million here, and they got their 15 million here. What's the city want to do for the benefit of the county? And we're talking about all 4 of those. We want to get together with Linwood and Easton. My God, I think they'll work with us.
I went to Linwood's council meeting last Tuesday night and shared the draft of the Port Authority with them.
Right.
And they're interested in somebody coming to their meeting, Port Authority. I at least attend Tonganoxie City Council meeting once a month at least. You know. So I mean, I go to these places.
That's good.
Basehor's on Wednesday night. I can't make it on Wednesday night, but I do stop and see the mayor once in a while and get brought up to speed. What's going on? And then, of course, we got dairy days. Be there 3 days.
But no dairies.
Very few.
Yeah.
Very few, unless you start one.
Out there on County Road 5, got jerseys out there. But
Harris's.
Somehow we got to get together. The city's got to get together. And I don't know of a city that isn't having a problem. I think it's very poor that the cities do not want to send.
I think Tonganoxie sends somebody, and Mr. Miller's here from Lansing.
Well, that's great. But are they getting together having, well, let's see, if we can do this, we do this, and we do that, and you do that, maybe we can get something going. I mean, they're going to want another 20-year sales tax. Where's the city of Leavenworth spending their $50 million plus? It's going to be over $50 million. Where are they spending it? Did they put any on the storm sewer? Oh no, we're just going to go out and get $83 million there. God Almighty, I can't believe it. There is no progress of the entities working together because they have become, what's in it for me? What's it for me? I think Basehor got a good share in their road, 147. I think Tonganoxie got a very good share. Mm-hmm. I think Leavenworth got, what, 12 million, counting half of Eisenhower. Mm-hmm. Lansing did the same thing, plus they get McIntyre. So they're the biggest. Leavenworth is the smallest bringer in Leavenworth is the biggest bringing in sales.
You know, I
tax.
believe the 147th was on the 2006 to 16 sales tax.
Well, yeah, finally
so the county didn't do everything they were going to do with that sales tax money.
But this is the first time. That's sort of like let's talk about Korea. This is the first time. Who's been to Korea here? Anybody been to Korea? There you go. Navy, yeah. South Korea is beautiful. North Korea, the capital, is beautiful. But you don't want to go out into the rest of that territory. You come home and you die. Problem is, there's a potential for the South and the North to get together now. This was not presented back then. You can look at all the policies that were there. But they were lenient policies. They could change here, change there. We're not getting done with the money that these entities are getting for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And who's bringing in the money? Leavenworth. Leavenworth is bringing in the sales tax.
Right.
Baser can't get a grocery store. They don't have the road count. They'd like to have one. Tonganoxie's got one. I don't know how, it's very good because Baser can go there, Tonganoxie. But we're not getting the entities together to proceed forward. You know, it's coming up budget time, and then what is it, $1 million, $1.5 million to do a study that the cities aren't going to want to go along with anyway. They don't care. I see no caring by the cities. Now you may, Bob may, but I don't see any caring. It's a total, you've got a board now that wants to establish a policy and do a budget, and we're going to look at, do we want to do a study of roads, sewers, water, electric, gas to benefit the county? The cities are a part of the county. They'll tell you that. Well, wait a minute, you got all that 75 million plus, or what it comes to on sales tax. That's part of our money. No, it isn't part of your money. That is the county's portion of the breakdown of the formula. But they want a portion of it, and they've already got their portion. Now it needs to be on county roads, which is what we're doing. So I just think there ought to be a more presentation of the county administrator getting together with all the county councilor or city council administrators, managers, or what the heck they are, and come up with something, some kind of agreement. Now, John, we won't know what it is because it's behind closed doors, so we don't know what and Trump came up with, see, as you asked the question before. So we really won't know because they probably won't keep any minutes. So I would like to see the administrator, and I'd like a consensus, to push this issue. And I know you want to go on, the system wants to be loved afterwards. I want to see some progress. It's a total waste of money if the cities are not going to participate. And I could care less. If they're not going to participate, then they don't get any more money. And if I'm around on the next 20-year sales tax, I will be against it. And I wasn't this time, but the cities are not doing what I think they should be doing. So you're asking a consensus for Mr. Lawfrey to meet with the city administrators? I want to see some kind of a forward motion, and if he can't get it, I want to know it. And I want to know which city not.
Okay.
This has gone on too long. City of Leavenworth and Lansing, well, you put the landfill out there, and most people on the board don't know a thing about it, but they've heard about it, but they don't know a thing about it because in City of Lansing annexes or takes in the golf course. You know, it's a game. This is not a game. When you're talking about 75 million here, 50 million there, now we're at 125 million, and 30 million down there, now we're at 155 million. We're close to $200 million worth of income coming into the entities, and we're saying, well, how are we going to do this? This county is about to bloom.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think the cities are stifling that bloom. And it's a shame because they can't go any further south. It's an hour trip up to the airport. Platte County is getting taken over. So we got to realize that we're going to have houses, occasional business here and there. But we got to be somewhat progressive in how we coordinate and spend the money together. That's all I'm saying. Now, I don't know what Mark thinks he can do. Probably thinks he can't do anything because the cities are their own governing body.
That is correct.
And if they want to be hard to get along with, I think the county needs to just, fine, you people do whatever you want to do, and we'll take care of the county. if they're not willing to work with us. You know, we constantly bring them into, well, it's within the 3 miles, or it's within the 2 miles, it's within this, and to get their inputs. And it's very important because having lived through North Kansas City and their development, any problems that was created because of farmette here and a farmette there, pretty soon you've got to sell off that piece of property because they want to make the money, the taxes are too high. Now you've got a house to tear down, how are you going to put the roads in there? And that's what we're trying to coordinate in advance. That's called a vision.
I think all the cities do have a, you know, at least a 5-year comprehensive plan.
But they don't have a vision. They have no vision. I watched Mike Griswold present about a vision, and one of the commissioners said, well, we fixed something like, well, we fixed that road. That's not a vision, that's maintenance.
Right.
A vision is where you're going to go.
Right.
How is Leavenworth and Lansing going to work together? How's Lansing and Baser going to work together? What are we going to do about the sewers? Are we going to be just totally septics, or are we going to come up with a sewer program?
That's what I was hoping we would achieve in this comprehensive plan and strategic plan for the county.
But if the cities don't talk to you, that's very important part of it. So, you know, another 6 months and I don't know how many days, I don't have to worry about it. So, and that's good. But, anybody got anything else?
No, sir.
Bob says that's enough of that. How about us adjourning?
I got an executive session.
Oh, yes, we got an executive session. Excuse me. We'll reconvene.
I move the board recess from open session and go into a closed executive session to discuss non-elected personnel matters as justified by KSA 75-4319B1 for a period of 15 minutes, and that this board resume open session in this meeting room at 10:15.
I'll second that.
Oh, I need the Commissioner Holland, Commissioner Smith, Commissioner Klimp, if he wishes, and County Administrator Mark Lawfrey.
Okay, I'll second that. How do you vote?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll be sitting here when you get done.
Oh, I thought maybe you was coming with me.
No, Bob, do that. We will reopen the...
All right, let the record show we've returned to regular session.
So you guys taking some kind of action?
I'll make a motion that direct staff to proceed as discussed.
Okay.
Second.
How do you vote?
Aye.
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 Now, how does the public learn about what action to take?
This is personnel.
Personnel matter, so it's not open to the public. It's
Okay.
they've discussed with me and they've asked me to address any issues.
Okay, that will answer it for John, I guess. Since we're back in open session, when do we start budget?
It's almost done.
I'm talking about when, because, see, I want to know things like, you know, we have a pay plan
Yes, sir.
that all of a sudden, you are not the county administrator. You are now the senior county administrator, so you're doing more work, so we have to give you more pay.
Well, I don't, not for naught, but I don't believe that position exists within our pay plan.
But what I'm saying, people get moved up. It's just not normal. We're going to vote to give 3%. Everybody gets 3%. When I know there's been already some people that got pay increases that are under departments that we do not control because they're elected officials.
Right. So the budget process, all the departments have turned in their budget requests. The clerk has went through all of them, put them into the necessary form to make sure we're within the range that we're allowed to be within. And then she has turned the book over to me for review. I have scheduled with all but one department at this time to review their budgets this week. and then we will schedule them to come before the board and meet to review their requests with the board.
Okay.
And during that process too, when the clerk and I come in, we will talk about the pay plan, talk about the benefits as a whole. Those items that are countywide, the clerk and I will address. The other ones the departments will address. You're correct in that some departments have their own pay plans, and with the elected department heads, they technically have the ability to promote or demote. I think that's what you're referring to as promotions within their department. Via state statute, they have that authority, and it is not within our hands as long as they stay within their budgeted authority.
So we looking at it coming to us by the 1st of July?
Yeah, it will. We will start scheduling those meetings, and I apologize. I'm going to have to be out of town for a week. If I wasn't going to be out of town, we'd actually start next week. I'm going to be out of town, so as soon as I'm back, then we'll schedule and we'll start meeting, have the one-on-one meetings with the departments and the board. We'll schedule work sessions. Those will probably not be on Tuesdays. We'll probably try to make those for like Thursdays.
That's what I want to, I want to be able to plan, so.
Yep. We will put that together. In the past, only the departments that had changes to their budget requests that were not typical from the previous years came before the board. I just want to see, is that something that we want to continue this year, or did you intend that every department come before the board?
That worked. I've been here the longest, and that worked very well for us. As long as they didn't ask for any enhancements. They ask for an enhancement, they have to come in front of the board.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
If they don't ask for any enhancements,
right.
Their budget from last year to this year stayed the same. We go ahead and approve it. They don't even have to show up.
Okay.
But
there's not that many,
Yeah.
I believe the Fair Board done a reduction,
Right.
or something like that, 1 year.
Well, the outside agencies will all come.
They'll have to all
regardless of
come.
the request. We like to have them come in just to make their case. And the board can, when we give it to you, when you get the book, the board can say that you don't want to make them come in.
I'd like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And this pertains to what Louis was saying. If you are an elected official and your department is on the pay plan, but yet you feel that they need more money, and you go ahead and give them a raise, where do they get that extra money?
Well, could be a number of places.
Us.
And they can't amend their own budget. So whatever the budget authority you grant them through this process is what they have. It could be through attrition. Maybe other positions were open part of the year, so they had the wages available to cover that for the year. Maybe they had expenditures that came in under budget that they're able to reallocate. Really, again, by state statute, they have the authority to spend within their budgetary amount, and that's not per line item. That's their total budgetary authority.
But you could come up short 1 year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is.
And that could happen.
With one department come up short 1 year.
Yep.
And she said that if she come up short, this one when Clyde was sitting there, if they come up short, I would either reduce their pay or do away with some of the help. Well, that didn't happen. We advanced it.
The board would have a decision to make. Obviously, if they needed to amend a budget,
Right.
the board could make a decision not to amend it, and then it'd be up to that department head to figure out how to reduce expenditures to come in under budget. The following year, when you're approving their budget, you could make a reduction if you felt like they had too much left in their budget that they were able to make these changes that you didn't agree with. You could reduce their budget appropriately. But I would caution about getting in and discussing individual expenditures. You can discuss overall the budget. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
But there's one thing, that there may be somebody out there who haven't change their budget, but I or they might have questions on their old budget. So, you know, if we're going to allow them not to come forward because they don't have any outside requests, then they'll get shuffled on down. We won't even talk to them.
I'm sure just about every department's going to have some kind of an enhancement.
See, so now we're getting out of the, John was just getting ready to put into the paper, you're the taxpayer.
Well,
And
it
he
doesn't
can-
mean you have to approve the enhancement,
Yeah, but
you need to listen to
he's
it.
got a
Yeah.
feeling. you
Oh,
know.
yeah,
Well,
I think you have
overall-
to listen.
Yeah, you have to
Yeah,
listen.
overall, the
But I'm not
board.
saying you have to approve it.
Right.
When John, you gotta watch John's, when he starts quivering a little bit, you know he's,
He's probably about out of paper.
is that what?
Yeah.
Here, John.
So, I think he's already filled up the one book.
Yeah.
Now, the board did give direction that they wanted to see the budget come back in with a $250,000 reduction. That, the overall budget will be presented with a $250,000 reduction.
Okay. Anything else
No, sir.
with you, Bob? We are adjourned.